You're retiring again?
Oh yeah, the cooling, did you go to the cooling center?
You guys are on.
You got the office,
Are
what
we
did you?
streaming live? Alrighty. Alright, we're gonna call this meeting to order here at 6:30, the select board, June 24th, 2025. 6:30 p.m., 103 degrees. Alright, pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Alright, we have a forum. Does anyone have any amendments to the agenda? Okay, I have any public comment, don't see any. Do I have a motion to approve the last meeting's minutes? So moved. Motion from Josh, do I have a second?
I'll second.
No? Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Any opposition? None. Alright, we have no old business on the agenda today. Did anyone have any old business to discuss that I did not add to the agenda?
Should we just acknowledge that there's no residents here for public comment?
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Well, usually I haven't, if there's no one here, I just say there's no public comment,
Okay.
Alrighty, well, we'll go to new business, the only thing on new business tonight is our discussion on, goal setting for the select board, so.
Sorry, I forgot that was mine, I should make notes.
Is your pen up, cause you have a question, Jimmy?
Yeah, I was wondering if, where you're kind of like discussing goals, there probably won't be a lot of minutes for that.
Mm-hmm.
So if you wanted to go through the consent agenda, manager report, and then you can save that for last.
Consent agenda, so.
So,
Questions, do you have AC at home, or?
No, I'm okay. I'm okay. I've been in AC all day.
The
I'm ready.
cooling station's still active till 8 p.m.
Yeah.
Alright, well, I will make an amendment to the agenda to move new business to the end of the, after the consent agenda. Does anyone, wanna make that motion?
So moved.
Josh? And anyone have a second?
I'll second. Thank you.
Alright, any discussion? Alright, seeing none, all in favor? Any opposition? Alright, so we are going to go into the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Josh? Josh is Mr. Motion today. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay with that. Any questions? All in favor? Any opposition? Seeing none? Alright. That's it. We'll go right back to new business now.
Do we do the manager report?
yeah,
Oh, sorry, yeah, manager report.
alright, well, thank you. Alright, first thing is, so, Deborah Larrabee stopped into the office the other day, and she would like to, get a hold of the cabinet masters to redo the gazebo.
Ooh, that would be really cool.
So she just wants, I said, I'm all about it. What she has to do is write a letter to them, and it just has to be on town property, has to be town property. But she said she would take the lead and see where it goes.
I'm all for that. I know that the cabin masters redid the lodge at my hometown's ski, I won't say ski resort, but the ski slope. And they redid that, and that was really saved a ton of money for the municipality, so if we could
So I'll
at
work
least
with her.
explore that, that would be
Good
awesome.
with it? I'm good with it.
I think we should apply heavy duty where we get a bunch of residents to go by the gazebo and get a drone. And, let's make it more than, if we can, make it more than just a letter from one resident or whatever. We could get a bunch of residents to go over there and scream something with a drone flying, or, I'm not really connected with you guys. No, it's like the only.
I don't know what their process is,
It's just an application, you could send photographs and stuff, but.
oh, yeah,
Let me, Jerry, can you email me, cause I think I know who their PR people are.
Okay.
Or the
I'm
PR
sure we
for
should
the,
go all in.
Yeah, that's what.
for their, cause are they Discovery?
Magnolia. Magnolia Network.
I know where
Deb is excited about this too, so we don't wanna take wind out of her sails.
No, I'm just saying, like, I don't, if there's never another PR people, but for Magnolia, let me look into that also, I will write it down.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
No, but I can find out more about like ways to sort of put a spotlight on them. Also, what about throwing the Eureka Center into that? What?
That's a board.
They would love the upstairs.
Great.
Love that
I think
upstairs.
that's a good idea.
Like gazebo and Eureka Center.
I think that if we're gonna ask for something, we should ask for what we want, and then, if we get anything, it's better than nothing, so.
We can always, we put money aside for, to fix this one.
Tell Deb yes and then have her watch these meetings.
Oh, whatever
That's
she
great
needs.
that she did that she's.
Yeah, I think what would be real, so did she come up with a timeline or anything like that?
No, she just said that she would like to, submit a letter, cause that's part of the process,
Mm-hmm.
and, she's just excited to do it.
Uh,
Should be good PR for the town,
Yeah.
and she would take that lead, just as long as the board was okay with it, as
Mm-hmm.
long as I'm okay with it.
Yeah,
Put
but
that letter on letterhead, you know.
I think adding the Eureka Center in there would be good too. But I would also want us to see the letter before it goes out,
Okay,
just to make, not that I don't trust that Deb's gonna put in what needs in there, but just think if it's going out with letterhead from us, it should all, you should get eyes
so
on it.
Deb was gonna take care of it, but if you guys wanna take the lead on it,
No, I don't wanna take a lead on it, just see it,
okay.
you know, if she's gonna send it on behalf of us, I'd like to see the letter, unless she's intending to apply,
Well, you can see it, I don't have any problem with sharing.
but I'm totally supportive of it.
Thank you, Deb.
That's a great idea. She's very smart for thinking that.
Alright, the nomination papers to fill the select board seat will be available July 24th. And they will be due to close of business on September 4th. Alright, so there's that little bit of information.
July 24th.
Yeah, that's when they'll be available, and they'll be due at the close of business September 4th. Alright.
And that'll be announced on the news blast,
Yeah,
on
we'll
the town
do it.
Facebook page, and
Staff will take care of that, yeah. The tax commitment will be on August 12th, and it'll always be the first meeting in August moving forward. Alright, and we're still scheduled to start using the new software July 1st, so that's good. We'll get some pretty good training on that. The cooling center, so the chief staffed it with 3 people, 4-hour shifts, nobody showed. No. And last but not least, one of the new public works employees that we hired is no longer with us. So that job is posted
Like-
again,
they left or they're like,
they're terminated.
when you say no longer with us, I think.
This is the one that was just opened.
There was 2, so there was one open, someone got hired. Then another person left, we had to fill that position. So the one that we did hire, so we have 2 open positions in public works.
Mhm.
Jerry?
What are the titles of, sorry, go ahead.
Are the vacancies impacting any of the plans that we have or
Well,
schedules?
it can, I think more importantly, if we have a hard time filling them this winter, that's where it's gonna be a real problem. We have to have people with those plow trucks in both positions, plow snow. One's a mechanic / labor, the other one's a truck driver / labor, so
And they're both full-time.
they're both full-time. So, they're both posted, so we'll see what happens there. I'll just keep you posted on the events, and that concludes my report for 2 weeks.
Alrighty, any questions for Jerry? Alright, seeing that, should we just do board member reports now and then go into, the goals and discussions? So, okay, I'll start off, Mark Durr submitted his resignation from the planning board, but he said he's going to stay on for the, stay on the budget committee. He just said that with his professional and personal commitments, the day of that the planning board meets no longer works for his schedule. And so we're gonna need to advertise that it's open. So he submitted that resignation letter, I think, yesterday to myself, and to John Talbot. I responded thanking him for his service, and I'll publicly thank him now again for his service. And in the response, I believe I added you, Jerry, so you can see that I acknowledge that, cause you weren't on the initial email, but I can forward it to you as well.
Anytime someone
Perfect, I'll do that right now. Other than that, I was happy to see the text go out for the cooling center. Even if it didn't get used today, I think it's really important that we have that, and I think that the communicating that was really, that went really great, so. Josh,
I don't think I have anything right now.
Deb,
I wanna second the Cohen Center. I saw it on Facebook first and thought, oh, I bet that comes out in text in a moment. And it came right out in our text, so I think all of that was really good. Did everything go good with all of the new assignments, the new approvals that we had at our last meeting with the committee, all the committee members and everything, were all good? Right. And just that the forward training, making sure that we're on top of that. Which I'm not exactly sure the plan is.
sorry,
The forward training,
forward training for
committee.
committees,
members
yeah,
and stuff.
I don't know where we're at with that, I gotta look back, sorry.
Thank you.
Rebecca?
I have nothing.
Alright, did you already say
No.
that? We'll get these signed and handed back to Jess. Alrighty, well, while we're signing up, we can sign the consent agenda here. We can start off with our new business for the select board goal and discussion workshop. And so, just as a reminder of, I sent out last week or the week before, an email to all of the board chairs to let them know the workshop to hear from them will be the 24th of July, the 22nd of July. And I heard back from the chair of the planning board that acknowledged that the email was received, but I had asked that they all meet in their June or July meeting prior to coming to us to come up with 2 or 3 priorities. And the goal for tonight is for us to just put our priorities out there. We don't need that we as individual board members have. We don't need to get into the weeds on the details or anything like that, but it's a way for us to record what our priorities are. Then in July, when we hear from the other boards and committees, we then have some things that are being brought from them, and so then we can all go into a discussion on what we're prioritizing as goals and objectives this year. And some of those things will just be handled by a committee and brought to us at the end of the year, before the town meeting. Other things will be handled by us. It's building off the process we did last year, which I think was, it wasn't a perfect process, but it was a really good step in the right direction for these sorts of things. So tonight, I'll just open the floor, and we can start with you, Rebecca, just kind of work through, I'll go last, but on some key priorities that you have that you would like to see considered for us to address this year.
Yes, I have 3,
Perfect.
so that we can take away or keep all, whatever floats anyone's boat. So one of the things I came up with was basically in terms of all of the committees we have, creating a list of rules to abide by in order for the committees to function and be regulated. So I think that we're doing or revising what we current committee structure. So thinking about consolidation or elimination of any of the existing committees.
So if I would write this down, our goal setting would, for one of your rules would be to, how would I write that down precisely?
So I think in addition to reviewing and looking at all of the committees for the town of Durham. Looking to see, because it's hard for us to fill many seats of those committees, there's not a lot of interest. And finding ways that we can maybe consolidate.
Mhm.
And in addition to consolidation, creating a list of rules, because I know that we have in the past discussed how when things have come up, we don't really have any rules for these committees. I
Mhm.
agree with that.
Yeah,
So moving forward.
almost like each committee would have its charter.
Yeah, like we
Like,
have
we-
on the website, we have the list of what the committee does, but
Mhm.
really like, for instance, you know, this has been brought up, somebody is on the budget committee and the planning committee, but they can't be on the solid waste, like
Mhm.
multiple committees, a spouse cannot be on the same committee, like things like that.
Mhm.
So
I like it.
in order to write that properly, maybe a list of rules and
I put-
regulations.
I put review committees, rules, organizations, and options for consolidation.
Can I tack on to that because I had something
Sure.
similar? I had something similar, but cause I thought, like somehow engaging the community to see
Sorry, can you
how,
pass that down?
Oh,
Sorry, Josh.
yeah,
Engage-
I-
engaging the community to get more volunteers onto the communities. Sorry, it was related, so I wanted to.
And I have things related to that as well,
well, I'm really glad I went first, guys.
which is all basically the same, it can come under the same header, but
Yeah,
I was thinking, we should have, standard training for committee chairs and maybe standard templates for the meeting minutes and making sure everybody's, marching to the same drum, so to speak, and then, have regular communications. Even though we're members, some committees are, represented by select board folks, but anyway, there's some improvements we can do to the whole committees.
So if I'm picking up what Joel was saying, like an example might be like, we have a template that we use for our minutes. Developing something like this for our committees too, and just kind of having like a consistency in operation across committees, yeah.
That'd be good. And I think we make it easy for the chair and
Yeah.
everybody's volunteering.
Yeah, well, I like consistent messaging and consistent operations across things, and I think it's just nice when you, if everything looks like this and it just has the committee name at the top, rather than like, this is this type of notes, this is that type of notes, those sorts of things.
Yeah.
Alright, what was your other one, other two, Rebecca?
Thank you.
No, go ahead, no, I just wanted to add on what we were, cause I think it's a good topic that is long overdue for us to address.
Yeah, especially from, I do consider myself a little bit of a outsider coming in, because I'm new, and so that's definitely something that's come up at every single meeting that we've had. So, yeah, definitely for sure. So the other one was engaging community members, exploring different opportunities that allow for partnerships or tools for Durham residents, community members, things like that.
Hey Jessica,
Um,
how are you doing?
So that they know what is going on and that they can participate. And I think that this is something that also has been brought up constantly, whether it's the town of Durham Facebook page, what is the Facebook page that everybody's on?
All things done.
All Things Durham, thank you, the fire station, like figuring out and brainstorming and trying to work with, like seeing what other communities do in terms of getting news out there. I know this is probably beating me down.
No, but my understanding, and this makes me think a little bit of what the GPCOG communications person
Yeah.
is saying, that like controlling the messaging out of your town, and so like those sorts of pages are always gonna exist in every community.
Right.
But we wanna make sure that people know that if you need the most up-to-date information on what's happening, it's coming directly from us as a town, not being heard second or third party through another page. So
Yeah.
is that kind of, you're saying,
Yes, so,
are you saying a public relations program?
more like a, yeah.
No, I mean, I think,
like engaging the community to find out how to get them information. Because
Yeah.
there's people that aren't on Facebook, you know, there was talk about getting the sign out by the town office and,
mhm,
you know,
Nobody
there's like months where the furthest I go down this road is the fire station to come to these meetings twice a week.
Yeah.
Or you do it in front of the public works and I go multiple months without going that way.
mhm,
Yeah,
So, I mean, there's no good way to do it.
Yeah.
And so how to do that,
yeah,
you know, it's,
and so that's
it's a good
like,
question.
that's basically taking a survey,
AM radio station,
I know, basically.
I listen to satellite, but.
yeah,
No pleasing Josh.
Never-
actually want to set Sirius XM Durham radio.
That would be amazing. So
No,
yeah.
but I think it's good to meet people where they wanna be met, yeah.
Yeah, and if that means like we create a mailer in addition to an emailer, in addition to a post, in addition to signs that basically say, you know, presenting where all of the information is, I mean, we can brainstorm separately and we can, like, I'm sure Jerry, you talked to other people, I know there's probably hundreds of different options out there with different towns, but things like that.
Maybe just having a town crier.
Yeah, standing on a soapbox.
Yeah,
Right, yeah, that would be great.
volunteer position for that.
Yes, and then the last bit is inspired by my trip to Public Works. Creating a better, more efficient bulky waste day. And basically engagement, making sure residents only, not make, you know, knowing that they're only residents so that depending on how it is, and also what makes the most sense for the town, because there are hundreds of people who do not use it. So should we charge instead? It's a great cost to the town. And also it's a community opportunity for us to engage people, like have Girl Scout cookies sold, although I don't know when is Girl Scout cookies sold. But like things like that, engaging people,
Yeah,
so,
awesome.
and that's it.
I think those are three really good ideas.
So close.
Josh, you wanna go through?
So, the other one that I had before I thought of it, one while Rebecca was talking, was, you know, one of the constant things we hear is about taxes, and what, 99.9% of our tax burden is on the residential properties, right? And so, you know, we passed the best stuff and the solar farms is finding a way to bring in some of those commercial, well, for lack of a better word, money makers for the town so that we can take some of the burden off the taxpayers. You know, I think that's working with Jerry, working with GP Cog. I hate to put more on your plate, Jerry, but I think that's where it has to start. And figuring out a way to do that. And I'll be the first to admit, I don't know the best way to go about doing that. And then the second thing, or third thing is, you know, I think we need to find a way, you know, the cabin master, the great idea that Deb had for the gazebo and then adding the Eureka Center. There's gotta be more stuff like that. You know, like, if we do get a sign, you know, can we find a grant for that? Can we do something? So figuring out a way to take advantage of some of the stuff out there. I know the chief does it all the time. I don't know how he has all the free time to do that. Maybe we should add more to his plate. But, you know, is there somebody at GP Cog or MMA who has a list of these and that we can start, well, a list of grants or something where we can start applying and getting things that we need that are not necessary, but would be helpful in getting the information out. Or, you know, help save some of the tax burden. So I think they all go hand in hand, you know, getting the information out, getting some commercial taxpayers, something, figuring out a way to raise the tax base without putting it on the backs of all the residents, and so I think those are the three important things. I don't have any idea how to start them, but, you know.
Well, this is
For smarter
the,
people.
this is throwing everything out there right now, and I like, we gotta think big and then rein in on a few discrete measurable things we can focus on. And so I think it's better to, get everything on paper for right now at this stage. Deb,
I actually had that exact thing on my list, I referred to as expand revenue sources, attract new business, explore grants, and some seasonal or community events that can draw people into the town. That can promote to local town business or crafters or something, which some of that's going on actually, but,
Yeah.
so I was with you on that one. Just piggyback on the communication improvements. We have some big ticket items coming and Jared, I'm sure you have this on your radar as well, but having a solid communication plan, very proactive, early enough so people really get the message, however we end up doing it on the tax reassessment, the auto trash pickup, those big ticket items that it's just good to continually share and how best to do that. So, I also have about all the HR work that's happening, with the consultant about making sure we have all of the right policies in place for the town completely, whatever that is. I know we have, that everything's formatted and numbered and available online and that we don't have gaps in any policies if it's possible. I think putting that on the list would be good. I do think we should have a goal that takes our recent GPCOG study to the next step. I would love to see that happen. I would love for someone to just walk in and say they paid for it, because that'd be so awesome, just to look out and see everything all crisp and neat and, a really draw for the residents. So I think that should be on our list for the
Should we
year.
pull money for some lottery tickets or something?
Yeah. I don't know. And then the open space work that the committees, are looking at, I'd like to see something with that topic across the finish line,
Mhm.
whatever that may be. I mean, we have a lot of good stuff happening with the committees and everything, but again, if we do the improvements on how the committees are ran and what, do we really understand what they're doing each week, each meeting that they have, I think we could probably help cross the finish line on some of their issues. And that is what I got.
so I have, committee training and consistency, expanding revenue services, communication policy, HR policy, downtown visioning and open spaces.
Yeah.
Cool. For mine, one of my top goals is, addressing budget process between the town and between the select board and the budget committee. Not sure what that looks like, but I think that what we're doing now isn't very efficient, and it isn't necessarily, getting the product that either committee or board wants in a process that either board or committee is entirely happy with. And so I think an opportunity to examine how that's done and figure out how we wanna do this moving forward is important. Key points here being, there's nothing recognizing our budget committee in our town ordinances or our town, we don't have a town charter, and so there's no authority given to the budget committee via our legislative body, which is our voters. And so we need to figure out how we have a board and committee that is empowered by the voters, not by the board and committee's annually adjusted, self-given charge, And so, we know it was a process that was created almost 100 years ago, the town floor, and and never really codified anywhere. And so I think it's important that we address the process and codify the process, so everyone involved is on the same page, so. That's one of my number one, if I had to say probably anything, my number one goal. Another goal for me is, kind of in the same vein as the downtown visioning, but just, a inventory of town land assets. So there are properties that the town owns that we haven't done anything with or don't necessarily even have mapped. There are properties that we've repossessed at some point. There's just land assets that our community, that our town owns that are just sitting there doing nothing. By function of them being owned by the town, they're also not on the tax rolls. And so I think that we need to do an inventory of those and come up with, as part of when we think about this downtown visioning, really just have a land plan for our town. Is there opportunity to do commercial forestry that is going to generate a financial benefit for the town? Are there opportunities to sell parcels that the town may not want? Do we want to consider where the parcels are, and maybe there's opportunities to say, hey, there's no good water supply in that part of town and we own an acre. Do we wanna put an underground water tank or a water supply for firefighting or something? Or is there just opportunities to say, hey, we own this, we wanna put out a request for proposal for a business development or for some sort of commercial development. And we just don't know until we have that inventory, so that's just, I think that's important to think and that kind of goes into the diversifying our revenue, is understanding what we have, and that can also play into the open space planning stuff too. I think that's gonna be an important component, and this is where I think maybe some of that stuff can be, delegated to the open space planning group. Some of it, I know Jerry's been working on this with town staff for some time now too. Another thing that's an important consideration for me, more broadly, is just economic development. I think everyone kind of touched on this, but the feeling is that we're kind of a one-trick pony when it comes to paying for bills, is we have a budget and we register cars and we have a little bit of revenue, but then it's just our tax bill, for property tax. And as municipalities grow, there has to be, if you don't, that's a decision that, it's a hard decision to make of, do you want to have a future where you pay a premium on your property tax to remain super rural without any development, or do we wanna find a balance and figure that out? So I think economic development would be a good idea. And then my final thought here is I think that we need to have a discussion or policy consideration around our gravel pits. There's some challenges associated with gravel pits, and I have not gone a year on this board without getting public feedback on concerns around gravel pits. We're not making no one's making any more land, and with extractive industries, you are rendering that largely useless for most other land uses. And also, when you have a gravel pit, it's then taxed differently because it's now considered undevelopable land, and the tax revenue is extremely diminished because there's no value associated with it anymore. So while you are doing an extractive industry, you're also reducing the taxable income from that parcel. At the same time, I think we need to have some discussions around expansion of gravel pits or creation of new gravel pits puts a lot more heavy truck traffic on our roads. Maybe our, 195, 125, 136 and Route 9 are built up for that, but our back roads and our side roads. And we haven't always considered the fact that I, living on 125, expect 4,000 cars to go by my house every day. That's fine, I knew that when I bought it. But if you buy a house on Swamp Road or something like that, it changes the experience of your life if all of a sudden you're now on a main road. And so I don't know what the answer is there, but I just think that we need to have some discussions about opportunities around gravel pits, and I know this has been a hot topic for other municipalities just bordering us too, so
How many gravel pits do we have?
a lot, a bunch, I can't think of off the top of my head how many. But
My husband told me to put that on my goals.
yeah,
Trucks going by our house and the weight limit and everything else.
yeah, and that just is, you know, I think an important consideration is just the impact on resources. And I know in the past, the discussion around gravel pits has been like, well, the gravel pits, you know, are registering their trucks here and there's revenue associated with registering your dump truck every year or whatever. But there's a lot of trucks that are coming from, that aren't associated with Durham, that are coming here to get materials and leave. And I just think it's one of those things, is if we look at what we have for commercial development in town, it's pretty much none. But we do have a commercial activity taking place, that's a spot. And I don't want us to turn into a, you know, attacking business or making it not business friendly. But like, I think our annual fee for gravel pits is $50
That's it?
a year. Yeah, does that sound about
I have to look,
it? Yeah,
Pretty low.
but that's like your annual fee for having a gravel pit town, I think was $50. Yeah, and the permitting is not nearly the same level as, you know, like a subdivision or something like that, but the impact is very high. So, that's a big one for me too, so those four.
Can I, so, Dan, talking about the downtown planning and you talking about the town property made me think, you know, how cool would it be if we had like a path like they had in Lisbon or Brunswick? Do you know how they pay for those?
Like a walking path?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Do
Oh, they
you
don't.
know?
No, I don't, but I was thinking, like, you know,
That'd be great.
just,
Yeah.
like, if we could somehow work with the state to make sort of, like, a path on 136 and have some type, so it's safe to walk, like, from the boat launch down to the park over here or something like that, or go into, I mean, cause, you know, there's not really kept going through the woods, but, you know, go like to this Home Dojo or something like that.
Yeah.
Go walk, something like, walking like that.
Also with bikes, I mean, there's so many kids who bike here and people too. And
Well, and that's another thing too, is like, there's a bunch of gravel pits in town that are no longer active, is there opportunity to make a bike park?
Oh my god.
You know, like something fun or cool like that, you know, or like, and I also, what you all mentioned it too, but the downtown visioning, I'd like to see us move forward more with this, like,
Yeah,
I just was thinking a lot about the baseball group coming in and asking about the batting cage. I was like, yeah, it would be cool to have something else over there. And then I was thinking like, and I've like been doing a bunch of reading on this, but there's really cool like playground equipment that's actually like exercise equipment.
yeah,
And some, like there's one in Lewiston which is just purely
I know
basic
exactly,
exercise, and
yeah.
I like to exercise, so I'm partial here. But also there's, like on the Back Bay in Portland, there's a trail and there's exercise things, and I think that for a rural community like us, there might be some grant opportunities for health and fitness, and it's like, you know, if we're thinking about doing stuff over here, that might be some other opportunities there as well. So it's like, you know, you have a place where members of the community can go get a little exercise or do something while they're watching that, and so that's, I'd really like to see that downtown get built. And when you talk about like economic activities, it's like, if we had a nice bustling downtown here, like maybe that's where like the old Durham days could come back, and you could have something where it's like, oh, you know, like they see over in Lisbon at the Warumbo Park, it's like food trucks there once a week and other things like that. It's like, and I just look over, there's just so much space right now.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's gonna have to be something we can do there and like make people feel like, oh, we're gonna go downtown and do something, and so.
I think Lisbon does have not an events coordinator, but
Economic development.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they
Because
also.
it does take energy and.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
But they also have a lot more downtown, so it's very like,
Yeah, like in
Like-
festival, and
Yeah,
Moxie Fest,
yeah,
all that sort of stuff.
yeah,
But I just think we need to be thinking big, like
Yeah.
stuff like that for here. because it's like there's some nights where we have meetings and I look up and you look over, there's a baseball game or some baseball practice going on. And there's already some kids kicking a ball around in the parking lot, and there's parents, catching up and getting together, and it's like, we just have this space, and we're really fortunate that it's all like close together. And like we talk about trails, it's like, there's the woods right there, even in just cutting a small trail, or, putting up a couple disc golf catchers, like, you don't have to have an official course, but now it's like, make something up, like, there's just, there's just opportunity there, So, we don't need to go in details about this now, but I want us to just get this down on paper. I'll send this to what I wrote here to Jessica, so we can have it when we do our, meeting on the 22nd of July, and we wanna hear from our boards and committees, The hope here is that we're changing the second year in a row here where we're changing the process of really, rather than just kinda sitting on the back seat and having boards and committees do what they wanna do and then come to us and say, here, I've done all this work. We're gonna be saying, hey, we hear what you're saying is an important thing. We want you to prioritize that number one thing you brought to us more so than number two or number three. Or we hear that that's a really big priority for you, but we also need to delegate some of what we have here on the select board goals. So the goal will be to get all of that from them as well. Jerry, did you have anything you wanted to add that you're seeing that you wanna make us aware of?
No, you've hit the three that I would have put down.
What were your three?
Economic development. The facilities, keep that momentum going. And do something with that gazebo,
Yeah,
those are the three.
So one thing, one of our next steps could be whether we do it now or after we get the information from the committee heads, is we could just create a pit chart prioritization of, what of these things fall under improving residents' experiences or whatever, what comes under, raising tax revenue. And just try to figure out a way to organize everything in a way that, one, we can articulate it to people, and two, allows us to prioritize it. Changing everything. And the year goes by so fast.
yeah. Well, and
And
somebody,
there are things we certainly will be addressing that don't even fall under anything we talked about today.
well, and completing the downtown visioning process isn't even a year task, it's
Right,
a multi-year,
But the next step,
But like, those are those things that like, we can start those next steps, and I think like the downtown visioning one being like, alright, well, we don't have what we need to do everything, but we wanna make sure that as we do things, it doesn't get in the way of the future, so it's like, we don't wanna put a playground or a batting cage, and then 2 years from now, when we have enough money to put in a new path, it'd be like, oh, it actually has to go right where that playground is, or that batting cage, and so that's that multi-step plan.
Where are we, so we're waiting for GP Cog to get back to us cause they're finishing up the layouts, is that how we left things with them?
you sent us a really,
No, you have.
we have what we need for the next discussion,
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
and so I think they've given us the information, and from here, it's how we move forward with it,
Okay, oh, I thought she was gonna send us recommendations for people or contractor, like, was she gonna send it? Maybe I was making that
look at her report that she sent.
Yeah.
Kind of details at the end of it, what the next steps should be. So I would just take a look at that.
Well, that's all I have for, did everyone get out their ideas for the discussion here? I mean, if something new pops up between now and when we have the meeting with the rest of the boards and committees, we can add it there, but I figured we could just get things on paper tonight, and then we can all take some time to think about these a little bit more.
And I think however we organize the date, I think we should put it on the website. This is our mission and these are our goals for the year, and
Yeah, I agree.
I think we should specify intro goals versus.
Yeah, well, I think about like, I manage a building and we had a facilities management report developed. And in our deliverable, it was like, here are our immediate goals, here are our 1 to 3 year goals, and here are our 5+ year goals.
Yeah.
You know, an immediate goal might be like, replace the boiler, cause it doesn't work. But a 5-year goal might be like, expand the parking lot, or maybe do this thing as an aesthetic project, not necessarily a structural project. And I think that we wanna make sure that we're very clear with these things, it's like, you know, especially when you add in the municipal government side of things, it's like, the downtown vision here, you know, might be a 5+ year goal before everything is done, maybe even longer, you know, cause we also are gonna wanna be sensitive to the fact that people are gonna need to have a year to get adjusted to the reevaluation of their home value once the reeval happens, and we're gonna wanna maybe wait for certain grant opportunities to arise. So, you know, I don't want people who are watching to say, well, the select board just said that they wanna spend all kinds of money to develop a downtown and to build a trail system and all these sorts of things. It's like, no, we just need a goal, and to be responsible with taxpayer dollars, we can't be, we need to have something ready to go and a long-term plan, not just, oh, hey, let's spend this year, let's put a batting cage, and then next year we'll put a picnic table, like, we gotta plan it out, and we want that public input, so. I don't have anything else for new business, light agenda today, did anyone else have anything they wanted to add before we adjourn?
What are we talking about in the next couple of meetings? Can we go over that?
Yeah, let's go over that.
I do know the draft of the handbook, the employee handbook is done, I'm going over that with her on Thursday. That will go to the staff for their comment, and we plan on coming here on August 12th, for you all to come and meet her and go over the handbook.
Jerry, will you be sending the handbook out to us in advance?
Yes, absolutely.
I noticed another town, when I was doing some research, had a select board handbook. So that was.
You have bylaws.
Yeah, I mean, it was a heavy duty handbook, but
So that's going on August 12th. So we have commitment on that day. And then she'll be here to go over that, the ball, yeah, kind of. And yeah, you'll certainly get, I've had 2 days, I got 2 days to review it. I got 2 half of it today. I'll get through the other half tomorrow.
Wait, August 12th, we don't have that's just separate, that's a different meeting. Cause select board is on the 5th and on the 19th.
In August?
No, it's the second
It's
Tuesday.
always the second Tuesday.
Oh,
maybe we should have part of our standard agenda is that when we have a discussion about what we're gonna talk about on upcoming meetings, like we have upcoming meetings in town news, here, but maybe there could be another thing that we document that we say, oh, on this meeting, we're doing the goals, and then the following meeting, we're gonna have this guy come or do that.
that'd be good.
And that would be a good tickler reminder
Wow.
on,
One of the reason I don't put it on here is because some of it is in flux.
yeah,
So like, there's times where like, we put something that we wanna do, and like, we want Kristen to come in and speak, but she doesn't have that night,
sure, I
so
mean, you
then,
could
you know,
caveat with,
And then-
potential,
Then
Plans.
John, we would have to communicate much more than we do now to do that.
no, just whenever we're talking about it at one of our meetings, like, I don't know if it was last meeting, I think it was our last meeting. But there was a lot going on, okay, this week we're gonna do this, and,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, not doing anything extra, just if we do talk about it at one of our sessions, to just document that discussion within the meeting minutes, not to like, everything's
So
down.
like, for instance, in the next minutes, it's like, it'll have for next meeting, future meeting, August 12th, employee handbook, just a line item.
Okay,
So like,
I'm just trying, because the agenda builder is like a template, so.
right,
Yeah, like,
I'm just trying to picture it in my head how that would work, but I'll work on it.
I see what you're saying though, like, in our meeting minutes, it might say, topics for further discussion, August 12th, XYZ. July 22nd, this workshop, like we can have that kind of
Yeah.
noted in
We
the
can
minutes.
work
Maybe,
something out.
maybe even if we put it in new business and we can do like, upcoming visitors for meetings and the date. It doesn't even have to be that great, just a line item,
Cause
you know?
they're kind of in the minutes, but the dates.
So
And
what
they-
if,
they
how
might
about
be
this? How about we could put in our, after board member reports, we could put in the template, future meeting topics. And so then in the meeting minutes here, you would come to, alright, we have our manager report, we have board member report, and then future meeting topics. The following things are things we discussed putting on
Right.
future meeting. And if we say, oh, you know, permit cost, but we didn't put a date, we just say that was something that we discussed as wanting. And so then when Jerry and I are building the agenda, we can look back on the minutes and say, yeah, we discussed A, B, and C, cause we keep kind of a notes right now, oh, we all discussed this. But now in the minutes, you'll say, yeah, before consent agenda, it says upcoming topics. We discussed the employee handbook presentation, we discussed the workshop, and we can note that, so if someone looks at the minutes, they could say, oh yeah, they said last week that they're hoping to next meeting have the lawyer in to talk about this. You
Yeah.
follow what we're saying?
Yeah, yeah.
Cause right now what
We'll
happens
work
is
something out.
we talk about things we wanna put, Jerry writes it down,
And we're
and
taking
then next
notes.
week, when I meet with Jerry to set our agenda, he goes, yeah, these are the things you said you wanted to have on the agenda, and he might say, oh, hey, GP cog had to cancel, we don't have that, so I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I was thinking actually more as part of the agenda, just like you said after manager's report or whatever. And just have the next 3 meeting dates, go 3 weeks out with the meeting dates, and then as we're discussing, oh, let's do that on this date, we just
Jerry
make
and
it
I will
up
work,
here
we'll,
and-
we'll work
We can
something
work
out,
something
yeah.
I just say it's right in front of us,
I think you're right, I
It's
agree.
good. It's a good, it's good.
And so while we're talking about that, so July 22nd, that's the committee heads are coming in.
Also the day after, remember,
I think you told us that last time.
You did tell us.
just friendly reminder.
So the next meeting, July 8th, we don't have anything like major scheduled for that, right? Okay.
Not, nothing major
Okay.
right now, oh, Christina from GP cog's coming in.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, they're doing a rules.
That roles and responsibility presentation is July 8th, and I don't wanna put anything else on the agenda, cause that's gonna be, I just want us to dedicate our time to that. And so that was what it was, July 8th is the roles and responsibilities, and then July 22nd is the workshop. And so this could be now in these meeting minutes, it could say, future meetings, July 8th.
Yep.
This, just with a caveat that like, this is just our, outline.
Yeah, you could just say planned, meeting topics, subject to change.
That's workshop with the boards and committees.
The 22nd.
So I won't be at that.
Yeah, I know, we talked about that. Oh, no, that's the 8th, oh, I'll take that.
Okay. I guess through the end of July, that's probably good.
so
Yeah.
Well, August 12th.
so we have a meeting August,
12th, and then,
but there's,
it's a weird month,
you're messing with my calendar.
and so it's the 2nd and the 4th Tuesday of every month.
It's August 12th and then
So it's July 8th.
So this is one of those
22nd.
weird, every year there's a month where it's like July, so it's like the second Tuesday, when the month starts on Tuesday, like in July, the first meeting feels like it's the first week, cause it's only the 8th day of the month, so it's the second Tuesday on the 8th, and then July 22nd, but then because the month ends on a Thursday, the next meeting is really like almost 21 days later,
Yeah,
even though it still is the second
Okay.
meeting of the month, so
so we have it on the 12th and then the 26th, okay.
Yeah.
Done. I will be half mentally hearing on the 12th, so we'll see how I do on that.
Do we have anything planned for the August meetings?
The 12th.
August 12th, we got commitment and an HR person coming in.
Oh, I thought that was the 8th of July.
See?
No.
This is you.
no, it's confusing because
No, I know.
there's
I know.
5 Tuesdays in
I know.
July.
So when we do like, start doing this, we really
It would
have
be
to
good.
nail it down because staff gets even confused on what we're talking about on what dates,
Yeah.
just like we did right here.
Right, that's why I think
So-
in the agenda, if we say planned meeting topics or something, and then just list the next 4 meeting dates.
Yeah.
And it can be blank in the agenda until we say something, then we write it down, and then the next agenda, it's written on the agenda, whatever.
Yes, yeah,
Just
That
as
is
long
really
as the
helpful.
dates and the topics are clear,
Right,
that's
Yeah.
all.
I agree, for sure. I'm with you, I think we'll all
'Cause-
benefit from
Well, cause, and the reason why I say that, cause if it's not during the meeting, then what they do is they spend time trying to find
behind
it
it,
on YouTube.
listen to the video, or, right, yeah. I think this will benefit all of us.
Yeah.
And it might trigger us to, prepare more, or whatever, yeah. That's good.
So I've got July 8th is GP Cog's roles and responsibilities.
Wait, is it July 8th or August 12th?
That's
no,
July
no,
8th.
2 different things.
Okay.
July 22nd is our workshop with boards and committees. August 12th is the employee handbook and tax commitment.
Yeah.
And then what did we say was the last meeting of?
And then, is that from the HR person?
Yes.
Sherry?
Yeah, it should be here with the handbook too,
Oh.
with the,
August 26th, we didn't say anything.
and because we'll be talking about personal matters, that HR thing will be an executive session.
Okay. So right now, we know what we're doing until August 26th. Yeah, so real quick about GP Cog's roles and responsibilities, they've done this presentation in the past, and the goal of the presentation is for GP Cog to bring in their staff, one of whom's like was a retired town manager, did have a job as a town manager 20 years, but also to really just help us understand, the role of the town manager, the role of the select board. It's such a unique form of government, it's so different than a council and an elected mayor. They're gonna do a really good job of just helping us understand how we communicate, those sorts of things, explaining to us like the committees versus town staff, all that sort of stuff. And so I'm excited for this. This is a free presentation that they offer, so.
Can we put a communication slide in the news blast on this, like offering, just so residents are aware, if you're interested in understanding more about town government, organization and stuff, now's your time, just
I
come,
think that's a great idea.
come to this meeting and they'll be hearing it right from them and
I think that's a great idea, because
Okay.
obviously we put it on our topic, but like that's putting it more forward. I think it'd be great to like in the news blast, be like, Greater Portland Council of Government is explaining the functionality of your local government on
yeah.
July 8th.
When they do the slideshow, it's gonna be on
Mhm.
the wall, right? So it's gonna be hard for anyone to
What's that?
watch.
I don't know if they'll actually do it so much.
One time they did have slides a couple of years ago.
Did they?
I thought they did.
I can ask,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll ask, if they plan on doing it.
Alright, well, I have nothing else. Do we need an executive session? Alright, if not, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion.
You broke Josh's perfect streak of making the motion to adjourn
second-
all
Second
year.
Jeopardy can
Yeah.
get $10,000.
Josh was the Ken Jennings of motions to adjourn, but
Should I
So-
retract?
no, it's too late. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Oh,
Oh.
alright, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Any opposition? Alright, we're done. Wow, this is our shortest meeting of all time.